Today, we're going to be talking about the neuropharmacology of antidepressants and the action and effect they have on the brain. Before getting into the physiology of the drug, it's important to outline their role. Antidepressants are medication that can help alleviate the symptoms of psychiatric conditions, and although they're mostly used to treat depression, they can be used to mitigate other illnesses such as anxiety disorders, compulsive disorders, and many more. Because of their versatility in treating such illnesses, we're going to focus on their effects specific to depression. Antidepressants target three basic monoamines that work primarily as neurotransmitters that all play a role in mood regulation and health. They include norepinephrine, which acts as a stress hormone and influences energy and attentiveness, serotonin, which helps regulate mood, cognition, sleep, memory, and so many more processes, and dopamine, which plays a role in motivation, decision-making, and signals pleasure in the mesolimbic pathway, which we all know as the reward pathway. Levels of these neurotransmitters can be seen as particularly low in patients suffering from depression, and so the main role of antidepressants is to reverse that deficit. Now that we understand the general idea behind their function, let's take a look at some specific drug classes and figure out what they do. There are about 5 major classes of antidepressants: SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors; SNRIs, serotonin-norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors; TCAs, tricyclic antidepressants; MAOIs, monoamine oxidase inhibitors; and of course, atypical antidepressants. Let's hone in on each class and see what happens on a neuronal level when taking these. As the name suggests, this class of drug restrains the reabsorption of serotonin once it's released, doing so by specifically inhibiting the serotonin transporter at the presynaptic terminal. This restriction leads to an accumulation of serotonin in the synaptic cleft, which can stimulate receptors on the postsynaptic end, allowing them to be active for an extended period of time. The longer the receptors remain active, the more the neurotransmitter can exert its action. Serotonin-norepinephrine receptors work similarly, except instead of being limited to just serotonin, it helps inhibit the reuptake of norepinephrine as well, which can be helpful for people who have psychomotor deficiencies because of their depression. Named for their 3-ring structure, tricyclic antidepressants work to inhibit absorption of both serotonin and norepinephrine, but additionally have anticholinergic properties, meaning they work to block another neurotransmitter, acetylcholine. MAOIs are one of the first drug classes to be developed around the 1950s, and they work primarily by inhibiting monoamine oxidase, which is the name of the enzyme that breaks down monoamines. Without the neurotransmitter breaking down, it can stay in the cleft and maintain activity on the postsynaptic end. Atypical antidepressants are independent of any other category and include different mechanisms of actions, from dopamine reuptake inhibitors, noradrenergic antagonists, and even some antipsychotics. Even though researchers have been able to explore this much about the pharmacology behind this medication, there's still so much we don't know about when it comes to the neuroscience behind why antidepressants work the way they do. The brain is a really complicated organ, and with how many areas are involved in mood and emotion regulation, it can be difficult to figure out an exact location that would need to be treated. On top of that, because psychiatric conditions can be exacerbated or even have their onset in response to psychosocial events, it can be hard for medication to inflict change that could easily be undone because of external forces. That's why it's important to treat depression along with psychotherapy. A drug can help alleviate burdensome somatic symptoms, while therapy can help the patient achieve remission. Each treatment option on its own can be a helpful tool, but using both together can optimize treatment and set a patient's trajectory towards a road to healing and recovery.